Coming up on today's show, a man shares his remarkable journey towards finding reality in God.
Being a person that wants to control things, and how God sometimes has to come to you himself and just put the reins on you. And I didn't know that God had a plan though. I stayed in the Marine Corps. I told him, I said, as soon as I get out, I will go there, I will find you. If you're there, I will stay. He waited 4 years and 2,500 miles to get me ready. And that was the model for the souls that I'm burdened for.
Friend, don't miss this compelling interview. Our Grace family starts now.
Welcome to Our Grace family. Thank you for joining us. I'm Reverend Steve Millar, a minister here at Grace Cathedral, and this is my lovely wife, Kathy. On today's program, we have a longtime member joining us from Grace Cathedral.
Welcome to the program, Mike. We are so happy to have you with us today. And you've been on a great journey in your life, and the Lord has taken you quite a ways. And we want to hear your story of what God has done for you, starting with your childhood.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for having me on again. Yeah, my childhood, I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. My younger childhood was in the projects. And it was a formidable time of my life where at the time you don't know about God or the devil. I really didn't. But there were things going on in my life that now that I look back, I can see that the devil was doing his best to form a person. And God at the same time was also rescuing a person and bringing that escape valve when you needed it. And I'll say something real quick here, but when you come to God, some people come with a good foundation. They come with a foundation already. They have a stone that God can make it into something perfect. Some people come to God and at the very best, they might have a pile of gravel. But the great thing about God is he has this ability to take every piece and he knows where every cleft is on every stone. And he knows how to take every single one of them and put them back together again. Okay? And when I'm saying that, I'm thinking of Ezekiel and the dry bones. Mm-hmm. It's a proof right there. He said that he put sinew on them, he put the bones together, he brought them back to life.
Yes.
God can do the same thing with anybody in their life. One thing you have to remember though, as a caveat, when you're saved, those clefts are healed, they're gone. But there is somebody who does remember those clefts. Those splits in your foundation, like you mentioned in a sermon not long ago, that's the devil. Mm-hmm. That's the adversary of your soul. And if he can, in any way possible, he will try to bring you back to a place, a familiar place, to find that crevice, that weak point. Even if God's got it healed up, he remembers and he can bring back and he can come with false feelings that the human mind cannot handle. And what I'm talking about, I learned this at the hands of Reverend Ainsley, but at a certain point, Reverend had to let go of my hand, and I had to take the journey from there on my own. So today, I will share a little bit about my past, a little bit about a burden that almost destroyed me, and then I will share the silver lining at the end. And when you listen to God's word and not let that be the end of it, but let it become a part of you to a point to where it's so real that God himself can come down and reveal himself with his messenger to tell you the very burden that you had, he has it in the palm of his hands.
And I think it's important for our audience today to realize that God is real, but so is the devil.
That's true.
But God is greater than
Yes.
the devil, and He can help you through any valley, any tribulation. He can
Right.
bring you through if you keep your eyes on Jesus.
And he will, the devil's going to try to tempt you. Whatever, like you said, maybe if you have a little crack, or he wants to take you back to, your past in some way in your mind to bring it up to you so that you go backwards instead of forwards.
Oh, he's the adversary of our soul, and the Bible says he's like a roaring lion seeking to and fro, whom he may devour.
Right.
Okay, he did it to Jesus. He took Jesus to the pinnacle of the temple.
Yes.
And offered him the whole world. Why? Because Jesus was the Prince of God. He's the Prince of Heaven. He thought he could distract him and tempt him with something on earth to avoid this persecution that he was going to go through of the cross and all of the sins of the world being put upon him. And not only that, at the Garden of Gethsemane, like Reverend even said, he even asked God, God, let this cup pass from me. The devil knows.
He does.
Us. I know this for a fact. I did not know this for a fact at one time, and I had the man of God pleading with me. And it wasn't pretty. It was ugly. I talked about it at youth service one time, and I remember a Reverend called me in his office afterwards and wanted to talk about it even more and how proud he was that God was able to do this. The devil will do everything and anything he can to distract you and destroy you. My particular issue was the loss of a loved ones, and into the world. And this burden of not being able to get them back the way that you would like to get them back. And like Tyler sings a song, God's Plan is Perfect. And then there's another song, Tabitha's song, God's Love. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, if you take both of those, just put them together, you have the answers and the remedy right there for the whole thing. Don't let anything distract you from the love of God. Don't let things that feel futile, that you can't control, especially if you're the type of person who has always been your whole life making things happen.
That's kind of what you're referring to as yourself. And you've always tried to be in control of every situation, and you have to let God work it out in your life.
Yeah, and can we talk about that real quick? The reason why you have that control issue, I mean, you were in the military, so you learned great discipline.
Well, I grew up hard. I grew up fast. I witnessed a lot of stuff as a child that people shouldn't recognize. And I'm not saying I'm the authority. I've heard stories that people had even worse stuff. But being a boy, and maybe with the personality that God gave me from birth, the devil wants to somehow distort that personality, okay? So as a child, maybe you're abused and you want things to be a certain way. And so that carries on through life where you want things nice and tidy and organized, and you want people out of your way. You want problems fixed. So
you alluded to some abuse there in your childhood. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, like when I was a child, my mom had to work. She was a great mother. She had to work. My dad had left, and I was the only child at the time. I was the oldest, and we had babysitters, and she wasn't aware of this, and there were things that were done, these like 2 or 3 girls, and in order to keep it secret so they could keep their little job and keep it from my mom, they would threaten me, and they would torture me in certain ways with burning me with cigarettes, holding me against the wall and telling me they're going to kill me. They're going to cut me up in little pieces. You're never going to see your mom again.
Wow. And how old were you during this time?
About 4 years old.
Wow.
And then they would take it to the next level that, like, if you tell her, we're going to kill her, we're going to cut her up. And through that, it's funny, 15 years later, a person who came to my mom and warned her, said, I think these girls are bad and they might be doing stuff to Mike. This person came in and ended up being my babysitter, and my mom got rid of them people, okay? And my mom ended up being good friends with this person. This person later on in life found God through this ministry, through Reverend Angley, I don't know, 40, 45 years ago or so. I don't even know how long ago.
So God had a plan. He intervened.
Yeah,
on
God
your
had a plan.
behalf.
Yeah, this person, things were moved around, and later on, the results come. I love the term means to an end, okay? You know, means to an end to certain people are just a bunch of obstacles in their way that they want to accomplish a goal. Sometimes with God, though, the means to an end are gold. Every single one of them are gold. Mm-hmm. They're not things that you just discard. They're not the unimportant things. Those are the stepping stones to the greatness of God. And that little adversity, I believed, with my personality and the way I was in life, I played sports, had a lot of friends. I went to the military, excelled in the military. I had goals. I was offered, I went into another platoon at one point in boot camp because I was held back from another one because I got sick. And this platoon sergeant was promising me honor grad if I would just stay in his platoon. And the great thing about that is you're the guy that the Marine Corps pays for your dress blue uniforms, and you get to wear the sword, and you're the pretty guy out there, you know, representing your graduating class. But I had friends in the other platoon, and I wanted to go back to that.
At that point, you were really in control of your life, it seemed.
Yeah, I had goals.
But you weren't serving the Lord.
No, I wasn't serving the Lord.
Did you know anything about the Lord at that point?
I had some knowledge from my grandfather growing up, and my mom telling me stuff that he had taught her. And my grandfather was a person who, when you went to his house, he was always reading the Bible, constantly reading the Bible. And he made a compliment to me one time that I never forgot, even when I was in sin, and that was that Mikey, out of all the kids, grandkids and everybody, was the only person that would ask him things about the Bible. I would go over and sit with him and ask him what he was reading, different things. And he would explain it to me. So there was a little bit of an influence there and also a respect for it. But, you know, back to the Marine Corps, I had plans. I wanted to get into a specific type of a unit, this, that, and the other. And that path would eventually take control. Before I went into the Marines, I'll back up a little bit. This same person that came back into our life influenced my mom and my brother to start attending church.
That was
Grace
your
Cathedral.
babysitter.
Yes, my babysitter.
Okay.
And
The good one.
The good
the good one, yes,
The good one. We better clarify that.
Yes, and they did all they could to try to get me to come, and it just wasn't it wasn't on my radar at the time.
Well, before
You
we
had
go
goals.
before we go into that story, though, we do have to take a quick break here.
Sure.
And we want to hear how you ended up coming to Grace Cathedral.
Okay.
So friends, stay with us. We have more of this story to come. We'll be right back.
I went back to base. I packed up everything I had. I drove 2,500 miles, the same trip that I took 4 years before, in reverse, coming back to what I ran from. And when I came, I found more than I could ever imagine.
For what is your life? It is even a vapor that appeareth for a little time, and then vanisheth away. Our Grace family is supported by viewers like you. Your donation is greatly appreciated. Your financial gift ensures that this faith-building program can continue to be a blessing to you and your family, and to many others just like you.
We're back with Mike, and he was just letting us know how he entered the military, and now he's going to just tell us a little bit more about the military and then go on and let us know how God dealt with him to be able to receive the Lord.
I was telling you about how I was in the Marine Corps. I want to add a little something in there. I came to the church one time before I went into the Marine Corps.
Grace Cathedral.
Yes, Grace Cathedral. It was a promise to my mom. I talked about how our little shepherd came in, introduced the ministry to us, and how God worked out that event. I came one time, and I only came for one purpose, and that was to belay the fears of my mother, because I think she knew I was never coming back. And in my mind, I hate to admit it, but I was never coming back. There was nothing but trouble, heartache, and bad memories in this local area. And I was going to California. Oh, I was going in the Marine Corps just to get away. I didn't know I was going to California.
So you're
yet.
kind of like Jonah, you just wanted to get away, and you're running from God to a point, and you don't even realize it.
Exactly. And I didn't know that God had a plan, though. And this is what brings about this whole conversation is, I alluded to the burden of a soul. And being a person that wants to control things, and how God sometimes has to come to you himself and just put the reins on you. And he can do it. I mean, if he can take a whole nation like Magog and say, hey, I'm going to put hooks in your jaws, and I will bring you down unto Israel. If God can do that to a whole nation, he can do it to one man.
That's right.
No matter who you think you are. And that's what God had to let me know. And God was dealing with me about this soul, and he reminded me, and I never thought of it this way. He virtually spoke it into my mind. I've heard God speak. I know when the Holy Ghost has given me thoughts, and this was from God. And he said, I waited 4 years until you were 2,500 miles away before I came and introduced myself to you to come to me. He waited 4 years.
So was that the time from when you first came to Grace Cathedral and then you went into the military?
Yes.
And that was that time period
Yes.
that God was waiting.
And in the meantime, I had boot camp, like I said. I went to boot camp in Parris Island. Anybody watching this knows about Parris Island already knows what I'm talking about. That's quite an extraordinary fraternity right there, okay? Somehow, some way, and God had a hand in this, and he showed me this. My orders were to the West Coast. East Coast Marines stay East Coast. Mississippi's the cutoff line. If you're born, your social security number is East Coast, you're East Coast. Problem is, 2nd Marine Corps Division is not that far away from Ohio. And guys travel back and forth on weekends, they party with their friends, they never leave the lifestyles they were in, okay? Somehow, some way out of boot camp, my orders were to the School of Infantry in Camp Pendleton, California, okay? Which I spoke about at youth service one time, and I said, you know, I had my wish list. It was, I want to live in California, number 2 was California, and number 3 was California, okay? I got like what I thought was my dream come true, but it was really God's plan. He got me away from my normal, familiar environment. He took me away. If somehow I would have kept coming to church at that time, it wouldn't have been his time. I wasn't ready. I may have burned bridges, I may have done this, I may have done that, because I know what kind of person I was. It wasn't time. I had to go out there. Then he took me from the School of Infantry. I graduated with honors. Out of like 400 guys, 5 of us were selected to go to a reconnaissance unit, which is the Marine Corps' version of what you call special forces, special operations today. Navy SEALs were incepted after our unit. John F. Kennedy in 1963 made a decree that the Navy SEALs were going to be formed, and he modeled them after these Marines that he dropped off in World War II on his PT boats. They were called Marine Raiders. They evolved into Marine Corps Reconnaissance, Force Recon. I made it into that fraternity. And out of 168,000 Marines at the time, we had 300 of us that serviced the whole Marine Corps. And our jobs were anything from hostage crisis, internal interventions, foreign interventions, green ops, black ops. Black ops are bad things. Whatever was needed for the Marine Corps, that was our job in the Marine Corps. Okay.
So you were really excelling in your career
Oh,
in the
extremely.
military.
Extremely.
So pretty much you're the go-to guys to go to, and when something goes south on
That's
us.
funny you say that, because our nickname is the Jack of all trades. Because we're so diverse. We worked in 6-man teams. Every man had to know each other's job. At a young age, even before I got selected to a team. I was in the unit, but I wasn't in a team yet. We went to an operation in Panama, and they set up this one little team. And we had a guy who came in as a recruiter who had never been in the service, but he had great record as a recruiter. And they let him go wherever he wanted to, you know, because he brought in so many recruits. He wanted to go into recon. Nobody goes into recon. The selective pipeline it's futile. Nobody makes it. When you get there, you're going to be probably dumped out because everybody there is out to get you out of there because they don't want you there. So anyways, I was thrown into a position back then to where I had a chance to excel even, and this guy failed on a mission, and they appointed me as the team leader. And I wasn't even in a team yet, okay? But it was just part of my personality. I saw a void, I saw a weakness, and I had to fix it. Mm-hmm. And I remember getting a call on the radio from a full bird colonel saying, son, is this the private first class that just took over for Sergeant such and such? And he said, son, he was very complimentary about it. And he said, carry on. So I carried on with the team. As a private first class, I started appointing guys. Guys wanted to have an insurrection and take this guy out because he was causing problems. I had to just create an environment where everything worked. That was just part of my personality. The neat thing is, as time went on, if I just added a little bit more here, I went to church one time. I was no Christian, okay? I don't think there's a person ever met me in my life would accuse me of being a Christian ever a day in my life, okay? I dealt drugs, I did drugs, I've been in fights. I've been in a lot of fights. I have been almost beaten to death. I've been in the hospital. I've had gangs that I was involved in, that we went out on hunt missions in the streets in retaliations for fights. I had cops trying to talk to me. I had principals trying to talk to me. I had all kinds of people trying to talk to me and trying to rein me around.
So even though you felt like your life was in control because you're in the military and that's your personality, really it was out of control.
Absolutely out of control. Absolutely.
How did the Lord deal with you to get you to come to Grace Cathedral, to give your heart to the Lord?
This is the beautiful part. What I said when he said he waited 4 years and 2,500 miles to get me ready. And that was the model for the souls that I'm burdened for. He has a time. It's like Tyler's song, he has a plan. I was given a piece of literature from this ministry from my mom and my brother. And I happened to be in a secure place. I was in a lockdown, and it wasn't the brig or the jail, okay? But I was by myself. And I was reading this literature, and something happened. I felt like all the sin, all my life was completely washed away. I felt the presence of peace, of something greater than me. And I realized there was a connection to this literature. And I made a promise to God. I told him, if this is real, before I do anything else in my life, and I had all kinds of offers, NFL, I have friends that are in the movie business. I have friends that are in production companies in Hollywood. I have friends that do military advisory work for movies. We've had 3 or 4 movies shot where I stayed at. I lived around Hollywood all the time when I was in the Marine Corps. Our base was used as a model because it was so sequestered. I came. I stayed in the Marine Corps. I told him, I said, as soon as I get out, I will go there. I will find you. If you're there, I will stay. I didn't live up to that promise.
This is you talking to God?
Yes, me talking to God. I didn't live up to my promise. I stayed a couple days extra after my time was up. And then God spoke to me at a party. We were drinking, we were doing drugs all weekend, and somebody could say, oh, it was the drugs. Oh, no, it wasn't the drugs. I can tell you, I know the difference. God spoke to me, and he said, if you stay here, Satan will destroy you. the big, huge exclamation point of what then, basically given to me. I remember putting my drink down on the table and having a friend come up to me. He knew something happened. He goes, "Mikey, what's wrong with you?" And I remember looking at him and I just said, "You'll never understand." And I walked to the door. I went back to base. I packed up everything I had. I drove 2,500 miles, the same trip that I took 4 years before, in reverse, coming back to what I ran from. And when I came, I found more than I could ever imagine, ever.
Well, Mike, you have an incredible story. And we're going to have a part 2 of this show because you have so much information to share. And we're going to have a continuation of this. So if you want to know what happens to Mike, you're going to have to tune in next week to this program. And we do need to take another quick break here. So friends, stay with us. We'll be right back.
Tune in next week for part 2 of Mike's testimony as he shares the struggle he faced for his soul and his encounter with the devil.
The devil came in and he started trying to erode my foundation. I was going down and sinking and sinking. And I didn't realize my love for somebody and their lost soul was enough to just drive you literally mad, insane. I toyed with death. I toyed with just wanting to end the pain.
Don't miss this special episode of Our Grace Family.
Something grabbed me and I was going from the wall to wall. And I couldn't feel it, but I knew something had a hold of me. Because it was strong, I mean strong. Your mind just couldn't wrap around something holding you and you can't see it. And then all of a sudden I looked down, it was 4 fingers, just like somebody took a straight razor with 4 and crossed my chest. It had to be a devil present there to do that.
The Devil is Real. The book, The Deceit of Lucifer, written by the Reverend Ernest Angley, will help you to recognize the devil's tactics that he seeks to keep hidden. This book will open your eyes to how he works and how he operates. Go to our webpage to order your free copy today.
Friend, maybe God's been dealing with you throughout this program because you haven't been living right for the Lord. I'd like to give you this opportunity right now to accept Jesus Christ into your heart. Pray with me and say, "Oh God, save my soul. Forgive me for my sins. Come into my heart, Jesus. Come on in, Jesus." Friend, if you meant that prayer, you have Jesus Christ in your heart. Come and be with us in the services at Grace Cathedral.
And friend, next week is part 2 of this interview. You're not going to want to miss it. Mike's going to go into great detail about how God dealt with him in his life, but also how the devil almost destroyed him. So we'll see you next week for Our Grace Family. Bye-bye.
If you are encouraged or blessed by today's program, let us know. You can email us at ogf@thegracecathedral.org or write to us. This program has been made possible by the friends and partners of Ernest Angley Ministries.